Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it is Your Impact Attack, curated by us. We are the VBC, and this is collectively a group that comes together every Monday night to talk about the happenings of TNA and the wrestling world at large. The VBC is made up of the V, the vet, Jamie Williams. That's me. With me, as always, my tag team partner, as I make the hot tag through the internet. The B is Brandon. Brandon, hello.
Yo, what's up? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a great Monday. Wild weekend.
It's wild. It's very wild. And of course, when we're talking about wild, we got to be talking about the C in the VBC. The chat is wild, and they are wilding out. It is. We've got a few people here. Are there four? Is there a magic 4 horse people already?
I'm sure we will see them come in very soon, or the 4th member. We got 3 of the 4 so far. We got Liz. We got Lab Rat. And of course, we also got Javi Uchiha. How y'all doing? Always a pleasure. Whoop whoop.
I see. So we've only got, we've kind of got an NWO right now. We got Hall, Nash, and Hogan. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's better than most of the incarnations of the 4 horsemen, right? Oh, wait, Ryan Armstrong. Right. We got the 4 horsemen. All right. But anyway, yeah. So thank you guys for being with us. I know more people will join. Yeah, like you said, wild weekend. TNA focus weekend, which is good for us, I guess, since we do a show about it. Any other wonderful news in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be discussed?
This might have something to do with about a video that Hogan and Bischoff put out.
All right. Well, I have no knowledge of this other than the knowledge I didn't have the first time I heard about it. So I have not seen this video. Please tell the people what the video entails.
It's basically kind of it's a black and white video shot kind of the same way as the old NWO, spot paid announcements from back in the day. And they're basically teasing a return to wrestling. They're going to shake things up, and they got a third man. And we don't know who it is yet.
So, why? Why do people think they can do things? Don't they know that people don't care? Do they not know that?
Plus, don't they realize like a lot of people hate Hogan?
Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah. This is. Are you sure it's not a joke? Is this not a rib?
No, it's an actual video they put out. It's on Hogan. It's on. I think it's on Hogan and Bischoff's Twitter accounts.
And they're definitely. This couldn't be an ad for something coming up. Is this like the third man is like, I don't know, Jimmy Hart, and they're gonna do more Real American Beer ads or something?
Let me pull a better write up of it up,
because the thing is, we've already seen Hogan and Bischoff. It didn't, the WCW thing didn't last. Otherwise, we'd still be doing it, or would have done it longer. They went to TNA. That did not work. So in two instances where they already had established companies and did not, their traction went from it ranged from very good all the way to sort of ineffective, and now if you were to try to do something from scratch when everybody's 70 years old, I'm not sure what they possibly think could happen here other than embarrassment, but I don't know. So what do you got?
All right, so this is from talksport.com. I'm going to go a little down into the article. What's undoubted is that even at the age of 71, the leader of the 1980s Hulkamania movement remains in heavy demand in some circles, as has been proved by the phenomenal reaction to a new video he posted on Monday. In it, Hogan is joined by his former WCW boss Eric Bischoff, and in tandem, the pair warn that they are back, threatening an all-new venture that they promise will rock wrestling fans. In a clear throwback to their time together in WCW, at the time an arch enemy of WWE and the company for whom Hogan left Vince McMahon and the entity that helped build Hulkamania, they appear in black and white, giggling to themselves and celebrating what they talk up as a major announcement. Former promoter and prominent podcaster Bischoff, who controversially ran WCW until his purchase by WWE near the turn of the millennium, rallies behind Hogan as the two show off for the camera. They trade shouting about being back before Bischoff finally begins to deliver the message of the piece, saying, "This is so badass. You people know who we are, but you have no idea what we're about. We're back. We're so back." Hogan then oddly plants a kiss on the head of Bischoff before praising him. "I love you the most. You're my favorite of all favorites." Then, with one vow about his new venture, he insists, "We changed the world one time, but we're here to wake them up. We are here to slice and dice the world of wrestling, and you're not going to know what's hit you." The gyrations, posing, and grunting go on for over 2 minutes in total, without giving too much substance as to just what Hogan and Bischoff will be doing when their mysterious project gets off the ground. The latter did, however, hint that they won't be alone. In another WCW NWO throwback, the duo talk of a third man, but stop the tease at that with no other details. "Should we tell them who our third man is?" Bischoff asks the multi-time former world champion. "Should we talk about his credentials? Should we talk about all of his championships? Should we talk about the world-class athletes that he has brought to the very top of the sport?" And tangent the answer, no, not yet, but do stay tuned, because when we do announce our third man, it's going to rock your world.
Wow, even the lingo's outdated. All right, whatever. I'm not gonna comment on this bullshit. Is anybody like what is the reaction? Are there general reactions to this? Do we have like a temperature? Can we take the temperature of how people are reacting?
Oh, this has been getting around and people are talking about it. It's just kind of not really much other than that it's not from I've seen.
No one's laughing at it. Everybody should be laughing at it. There should be lots of crying, laughing emojis and retweets and that. All right, well, stay tuned, I guess, for that. Any other news?
Oh, yeah, TNA signed Indy Hartwell.
Yes, that is part of the normal coverage that we're going to have. But I looked at some news articles to try to find out, because I saw something about contract details about Indy Hartwell and Ace Austin, two separate articles. So I click on them and neither one of them had really any information whatsoever. They just spent several paragraphs saying a bunch of stuff that we already knew. So apparently Ace Austin, his contract is going to expire sometime soon, and TNA is interested in retaining his services. Oh, okay.
So pretty much a copy paste article that you just change the headline on and make it more clickbaity.
Pretty much. So like those were the two, like that's the only thing I found when I was scouring the headlines. But yeah. Great signing. Just a wonderful signing for TNA. Yeah. So, any real news? I don't think there is any, but just double and triple checking before we move on, because I mean we've definitely got some TNA to talk about here.
Hey there, muscly arms. Bring any good news today?
I think if anything does either pop up, or if we forgot anything, I think the fine people will let us know. But other than that, Todd Brantley's here. Mr. No Monikers Needed. That's a nice moniker. Eventually, Indy Hartwell will show up on NXT, That would be ironic. It would be funny.
I think that might be the idea.
Yeah. I also find it funny that she still had to sit out her 90-day no compete before she could go work in Australia and Indy. So apparently the WWE does have a lot of love for her. For real. Um, all right. Uh, so, all right. Well, let's get into it. Let's just get into Impact then. Let's get into this Impact episode, which was a go home for Rebellion. We're gonna start out with our standard ketchup packets. Just in case you haven't been following TA and you haven't, there's a Heinz if I've ever seen one. And we're starting out nice. Okay, so this is good. We're getting a Moose sighting right off the bat. Ace Austin, who contract expires soon, and Trey Miguel versus Moose and JDC. So it's Moose. I mean, we're already starting off on a positive note. It is Moose. Standard tag match. Any thoughts? Any comments?
Not Moose being Moose, we got to see some Moose. It was a match. It was an all right match, and at least it set up for the Sean Waltman coming for Rebellion.
Yes, but that's later. You just keep jumping ahead. You know,
I'm
Brandon,
sorry.
I know you're
I'm
so
sorry.
excited about this. It's like really exciting to talk about TNA, but we'll get to everything in its proper chronological order. And you should know all about chronological orders because you've been streaming Chrono Trigger and you've also been streaming Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. So, you know, chronology is a big theme there. All right. So anyway, the Fat System runs into Screw, the baby faces here, and the Moose and JDC pick up the win. So, next we get a Masha Slamovich package. It's a nicely done package. They also show a little bit of, in this, they show Tommy Dreamer getting a little bit sentimental, the Johnny Rodz connection, and saying how proud he is of her and she's special and all this other stuff. So it was a little something different. I'd like to see more stuff kind of like that and less of the fake phony bullshit that we're going to get later. Because the two things just kind of a little bit of oil and water, you know, to me. But, well, again, now I'm jumping the gun. So, well, actually, no, I'm not, because we're right here. Mike Santana at a meeting. You know the kind of meeting he's at. They don't really say, but it's like he says, "Hi, I'm Mike," and then he doesn't say anything else, you know. So they're not going to say it, but we know what kind of a meeting this is. And then he, you know, it's his turn to share, and he does share, with music. There's music underneath his sharing. I don't know about you, Brandon. Without getting too personal, alcoholism and that has played a large part in my life and people I know as well. And when I see this kind of a thing to not to really get, I don't know if they think this is getting Mike Santana over, but what it is doing is turning it into a phony wrestling angle where he cuts like a wrestling promo as an Alcoholics Anonymous speech, and they're playing music under it. So for me, this whole thing is not only is it corny as fuck, but it's in poor taste also. Like, if this is as close as I can get to being offended. So I just don't, if wrestling was something that we were trying to really sell the people as real, that's one thing. But now you're just mixing other people's reality, including Santana's reality. You're turning his reality into phoniness for a phony match with a phony guy. I don't know. It doesn't work for me, brother. What about you?
I could see the pros and definitely the pros and the cons in it, but That's the I'd have to really like workshop around before I made a decision on. But yeah, this one did kind of go lean a little bit too far into the, like what you were saying, like making something fake out of something real.
Yeah, I didn't get any sort of authenticity from anything he said.
Yeah,
Sounded like
it
a
did.
wrestling promo.
Yeah, it came across. Yeah, like you said, like a wrestling promo. That's where it kind of lost me.
You know, it reminds me. It sort of reminds me of the time when, you know, Tommy Dreamer and Bubba were doing that angle. Remember that? And it's Bubba's talking about Tommy Dreamer's dead mom and stuff like that, but then they just do phony wrestling stuff to each other. It's just, it's not worth bringing up real stuff if nobody believes this. You go so far out of your way to tell people this shit isn't real, and then you try to use reality. It's a complete, it's a, it's a paradox. You can't do that. You just can't do that. I don't know. But whatever. We get a FaceTime with Ash by Elegance, in which she's understandably upset that she has to now defend her championship in a fatal 4-way that no one asked her advice or opinions on. So she basically bitches out the entire crew, and that weird tall girl is still just standing there, like like Lurch the Butler or something. Um, yeah. So
He was all right. I mean, just
yeah,
it's something to remind us. Oh yeah, this match is happening on the pay-per-view.
Basically, just in case you forgot, which you could have. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I mean, as Todd says, going back to the earlier point, consider where he was before he came back to TNA, just another guy in AEW. If this helps him get TV time, moves him up on the card, then I'm all for it. Sure. So you couldn't have moved him up on the card without doing this? I don't, you know, I don't get that logic. It's just more of like excusing bad behavior as it is like instead of like encouraging creativity. You know, as Liz says, as someone who has family members with this issue, I find it kind of tacky to use a real issue that affects millions of people with storyline. It's not like it was a sit down where he was like, "This is me." Yeah, I don't mind you doing that, you know, but when you have a soundtrack to it, to like a speech that he's giving, it's just, I mean, I don't know. Todd, you said you stopped watching wrestling. So am I supposed to take that as you didn't see this? Because if you didn't see this, maybe I'm not doing the corniness of it justice. Maybe I'm not just explaining it right. But anyways, let's just move on. Because we have Ariana Grace, the liaison, on commentary for Reptilian Britt Baker versus Rosemary. It's a match. Again, like, I don't know what to say about these matches. Here's Rosemary. I don't know, is she supposed to be, is this on the job training for JC Jane? How much is JC Jane ever going to be ready? Is this, yeah, I don't know. We're just doing this for the angle. Jasmine jumps up. Does the Jasmine jump up to distract, and that costs Jane to hit the rolling elbow for the win. I guess that's her move. Sure, why not? And then the Zayas come in and make the save from Fatal Influence, trying to jump everybody. And then Santino makes a match for Rebellion.
Pre-show.
We didn't know that at the time. Okay. Okay, now, Brandon, this one's going to be all you, because we've come to the point in the show where the Zigglers pull up to the Hardy compound. Take it away.
All right. Let me pull up a recap of this real quick, because this was so out there.
Wait a minute. Recap? You mean you don't have every moment of this burned into your mind? This wasn't the most memorable and groundbreaking, unforgettable segment ever?
But the thing I remember most is Jeff Hardy dancing to Not Like Us.
That's great. Just super. Is the real Britt Baker ever going to be ready? Because they sent him. Yeah, no doubt. Is she ever going to be on TV again? That's the real question.
All right, so this is the ProWrestling.net write-up. Nemeth brothers are driving down a dark road on the way to the Matt Hardy compound. Jeff Hardy, as his alter ego Willow, was hanging out on the side of the road with his umbrella. Willow got in front of the Nemeth's car and welcomed them to the Hardy compound. Willow was laughing and randomly disappeared. Nick and Ryan was met with who I assume was one of Matt's sons, who told them to follow him. Go to commercial break. Come back. Nick and Ryan Nemeth entered the gates of the compound. Nick was wearing a Motley Crue tank top, while Ryan was wearing a SAG-AFTRA strong shirt. Nick said he's seen this movie.
Let's let that sink in for a minute. Like, back up just a second. We took a commercial break. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Nick and Ryan Nemeth entered the gates of the compound. Nick was wearing a Motley Crue tank top, while Ryan was wearing a SAG-AFTRA strong shirt. Nick said he's seen this movie before. Apparently, Ryan hasn't, because he said they should split up. Nick agreed. Nick walked into Willow, who said, "I see dead people," and then he started doing a random stupid dance that kind of cracked me up, and then Willow disappeared, which was, of course, the part with dancing and Not Like Us. After Willow disappeared, Jeff Hardy appeared and jumped Nick Nemeth. Jeff beat up Nick with Willow's umbrella. Nick threw some pocket sand at Jeff and ran away. Nick thought he was cleared of Jeff, but Jeff came back and jumped Nick again. Jeff and Nick brawled to the back of a pickup truck. Nick got the upper hand and dragged Jeff to the roof. Nick backdropped Jeff onto a conveniently stacked set of tables. Nick brought out a rolling brief. Sorry. Nick brought out a rolling briefcase from the pickup truck and pulled out the TNA Tag Team title belts. Nick also made sure to pick up his cap and run off to Matt's house. Meanwhile, Ryan was wandering around the fountain area of Matt's home. Matt jumped Ryan. Back to Nick, he was wandering around Matt Hardy's arcade machine room, where he also found all of his championship belts. Nick was trying to take the TNA tag title, but also found a counterweight just in case. But also finding a counterweight just in case the title belt had a Indiana Jones booby trap failsafe. Nick took the tag belt and put a dumbbell in its place. Matt and Ryan were still brawling. Matt said he has a premonition and feels it in his soul that Nick has both tag belts. Matt speared Ryan into a pool. Clips of Rebby Sky playing a piano were shown. Ryan teleported to Matt's arcade room, where he had a movie ticket to Matt's movie theater room. Ryan sat down in the theater alongside Matt's sons and Senior Benjamin. A black and white silent film started playing where Maxwell Hardy was whooping Ryan's ass. Matt's daughter said, "Holy shit," in silent form. King Maxwell was the winner in the end, as he was showered with roses. Senior Benjamin was proud. Ryan was back and knocked out in the pool. Ryan then teleported to a therapy couch where Matt's son Wolfgang is the therapist. Ryan told Wolfgang that he thought everyone would clap for him when he made those Nick Nemeth return announcements, but all he did was boo him. Wolfgang said it's all the Matt Hardy's fans booing him. Ryan wondered if Wolfgang was writing down that he's crazy. Ryan said he was picked on all the time. He said he pees his bed to this day, and he's still afraid of the dark. He said he still uses a nightlight. Ryan said he falls off his bike all the time. He said his parents didn't care about him. Wolfgang said Ryan is missing something from his childhood. Wolfgang asked Ryan if he hugged his parents. Ryan cried and said that he didn't. Wolfgang said that the emotional damage cost $500. Ryan agreed and said he'd Venmo the fee. Ryan then teleported to Rebby and her daughter. Rebby's daughter kept yelling no every time Ryan said he was coming after the tag team titles. Rebby's daughter then shot confetti at Ryan, and Ryan transformed into emo Ryan Nemeth, complete with emo makeup and a toy crow in hand, while the song "Perfect" by Simple Plan starts playing.
Yeah, we know they got to deal with Simple Plan because they do Zaya Brookside's entrance music too. So
I apologize, Gothic baby. I'm just reading the report. I apologize. Emo Ryan teleported to a different part of the forest where he and Bartholomew Hardy, Matt's other kid, were setting up to do a stand-up comedy routine. Emo Ryan roasted Bartholomew for still living with his parents, can't drive a car, and is unemployed. Ryan said Bart was a conformist pig. Bartholomew asked, "What do you call cheese that isn't yours?" Nacho cheese. Bartholomew called Ryan's career a joke. Ryan called Bartholomew short. People threw tomatoes and other things at Ryan. Ryan woke up from his delusion and was being drawn by Matt in the pool. Nick showed up holding both TNA title belts. Matt chased Nick outside the gate. One of Matt's sons put Nick in a standing switch. Nick pie-faced Matt's son to the ground. Matt caught up with Nick, but Nick and Ryan had the numbers advantage. Brother Nero appeared, which caused Nick and Ryan wrong for the tag team titles. End scene.
That was the best part when they shoved the kid on the ground. So was that Jason Powell that had to write this up?
No, that's one of his writers.
One of the flunkies? Okay. Because you know he wasn't going to do it. But even no matter who did it, what must they be thinking as they're typing that out? Like, because it's one thing if you're just watching it, but if you actually have to like, okay, wait, what happened? Hold on, let me pause, and then type it. Like, I think at that point it would sink in for anybody. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? The meme where the, you know, like the guy goes out and like looks at the sunset and sits on a bench and like all that stuff, you know? Like, like what? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happened on the screen. What do you think of it?
I know you're gonna get mad at me, but these days, as long as I'm entertained and I enjoy what I'm watching, that's all I really care about these days. And I got a chuckle out of it. I laughed. I enjoyed it. I was entertained. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna be mad, but it's just a commentary on. I mean, this is what the business has done. That's made you feel that way. If you can't be angry, that means you've given up. But regardless of what anybody thinks, whether they like it, whether they don't like it, whether they learn to love it, whatever it is, whatever the situation is with this, there's no defending this one aspect of it. Okay? And that is this. When you have all this other shit, you can have Maxwell be a psychiatrist. You can have a silent film that the guy is simultaneously in and watching at the same time. You can have all this other stuff, right? All these ideas, all this concept. Okay. But when it comes to the physicality, all they still do is phony pro wrestling stuff. Like when you have the tables next to the truck and you backdrop them through the tables, or like when they're fighting at the end and they're still like doing the wrestling forearms on the back and everything. Like you couldn't, if you're doing the rest of this like a movie, so you can't even film it like you threw a stage punch like to somebody's face, like you can't cut or choreograph the film around like as if it was at least something that wasn't just phony wrestling fighting.
I can't argue that part.
Nobody can. Nobody can. There's not a person on the earth that could argue this with me and win. So that's my only thing. I've said everything else before. I've already said this. They've done this multiple times and I've covered it multiple times. So you already know what I have to say. But that's really the bottom line, is when you actually have to have physicality, they always still just resort to fake wrestling stuff. You could do anything. You know, you could do special effects and have somebody's arms get lopped off if you wanted to. It doesn't, like, whatever you did, but instead you're just, okay, great. All your creativity means nothing if you can't even fight a different way. But anyways, and we'll see, you know, when we talk about the match, we'll see how that's even more emphasized. So Ace Austin and Trey Miguel are frustrated because they're outnumbered by the system. So they make a call, and the number on the caller ID is Sean Waltman. So I don't know if he ever picked up at this point, so we'll see. But it probably went to voicemail. He probably let it roll over, whatever. Then we get Tessa Blanchard versus Missa Kate. If you end up missing this, you didn't miss a much. As Masha Slamovich comes out to attack Tessa after she wins, and then security has to intervene. So there you go. Any thoughts on young Missa Kate and her adventures with Masha Slamovich? I mean Tessa Blanchard.
I think it went a little bit longer than it should have.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I feel like Tessa wanted to get out of there a little bit quicker. But,
maybe she just wanted to be cool and let Mr. Cake get a little bit more and get herself over.
Yeah. Of
course,
that's consistent with what we hear about Tessa's character.
Right. Yeah. Then as soon as I say that, I'm like,
could she be overcompensating, trying to turn over a new leaf? Instead of spitting on him and calling him racial epithets, she's just letting him have a little extra offense now. Yeah. Hey, Bert and Eric, our old good friends Bert and Eric. They're at the where are they? Was this like one of those rest areas? Like, you pull over to the little rest area. They have like a picnic table, and they're just burning stuff on the ground. Like, whatever they're doing, Burt Macklin's writing in his journal or some shit, and Eric comes and sits next to him and congratulates him on winning the international title, and they toast each other with their little red Solo cups, and then Bert leaves, but he leaves his journal or whatever right there, and Eric
didn't. Yeah, that immediately didn't make any sense. Like, why would you leave that sitting there especially for him to read after everything that's happened?
And he does read it a little bit, and then as I assume anybody would, he gets bored with it and throws it in the fire. And they do, and trust me, I'm very underselling how cinematic they think this is, again, with the cuts back and forth to the fire, to Eric Young, to the burning journal, to Eric Young, with the music, the slow white dude singing, like that whole thing. Oh man, it's whoever did, they were just like, I know they were feeling themselves with this. They definitely want to submit this for consideration to the Academy for next year. They talk about, or they recap Joe Hendry's Mania moment and his subsequent NXT appearance, because and they were very proud of the way Joe Hendry was summarily defeated in moments by Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And they also, this leads into him sort of cutting the line again in front of Trick Williams, challenging Obafemi. So that happened. And our main event for this is the King of TNA and All Ego Ethan Page versus Elijah and Joe Hendry. Story of the match: can the heels get along? Ooh, little twist. Can the heels coexist?
Spoiler alert, they don't.
Oh, they don't. Well, they tried. But so Elijah, at the end of this, Joe Hendry is making a comeback, but he's pretty hurt with his shoulder and all. And he's trying to do the standing ovation, and Elijah tags himself in when Joe staggers back to the corner, and he's able to hit his Highwayman's, what is it called? Highwayman's, I have
Highwayman's Fair?
Highwayman's Farewell. That's way too much syllables. I'm just going to say tombstone. It's a tombstone.
How about in honor of the late, great Steve McMichael, the Mongo Spike?
the Mongo Spike. Rest in peace, Stephen Michael. He hits a Mongo Spike on Kazarian for the win. And we go off the air with the heels mad and Joe Hendry hurt and his shoulder in question. But Elijah's still his friend as of now, just like he said he'd be. So there is that. That was TNA, and that leads into Rebellion. Brandon, is there a punch-up this week?
Not this week. It will return next week.
Right, the return of the punch-up next week. All right. So we're going to TNA Rebellion. We have a pre-show panel. It's Gia Miller, it's Tommy Dreamer, it's Dave LaGreca, and it's O'Shea Jackson Jr. So basically 4 marks are sitting up here at the table. Your match is Fatal Influence versus 2 Zayas, 1 Rose. It's just a 6-person match. Zaya Brookside refuses to use the knuckles that Rosemary offers her. And that causes Rosemary to get bipped off the apron. When Reptilian Britt Baker shoves Zaya into Rosemary, knocks her off, and then Reptilian Britt Baker hits her rolling elbow finish for another victory. She's on a roll here. Let's give her a Knockouts title shot. What's up, Mike Martin? There you go. So, Fatal Influence getting a dub on TNA pre-show. Any thoughts on the match?
Other than that finish seemed pretty much the same finish as AJ and Logan Paul.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, few specific details, but essentially the same thing. Tempt the dark side with brass knucks. They refuse to do it. Leads to the downfall.
Yeah. These honorable baby faces, they just don't get it. Just don't get it. In this, at least in this case, it makes sense in a way that Zaya Brookside wouldn't do it, because she's always been presented as wholesome. But AJ Styles, like, come on. That guy's flip-flopped more times than, I don't know, a pair of flip-flops, I guess. So why wouldn't he take the knuckles? I don't get it. But anyway. We got an Eric Young promo. He basically says that a lone soldier is a dead soldier. So look out, Bert. The system rejects Cody Deaner's offer to replace JDC, who's not going to be here tonight because of travel issues. Okay. Is that real? Did he really have travel issues, or is that just some excuse they made up?
Let me look that up real quick.
Meanwhile, Elijah has a song about LA he's going to play to get everybody hyped up because they're in LA. And he even goes into a little bit of Under the Bridge, risking DMCA. But I think I haven't heard anything about them getting any copyright strikes. So his opponent is, do we find anything yet?
Nah, I could not find anything.
All right. Yeah. We'll just take them at their word. All right. So his opponent is Shane Haste. Now, this is interesting because Shane Haste, at least last I checked, which I admit I haven't checked in a little bit. But Shane Haste is affiliated with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now that's interesting. Not for the reason that Mike Martin may think I think it's interesting, but it's interesting because New Japan has a working relationship with
AEW. TNA has a working relationship with WWE. And Tony Khan's pretty we ain't doing that. We're not working any working relationship with that.
So either this means that TMDK is no longer part of New Japan, or maybe just another shot fired. Who knows?
I don't know.
But
That picture of Rock wearing that New Japan shirt, we're looking at a Rubik's Cube. I'm sorry, that's got to mean something.
well, that's about the only interesting thing about this match, because Elijah hits the Highwayman's for the Mongo Spike. He hits the Mongo Spike. It's the Mongo Spike on Shane Haste, and then to take it right to the pay-per-view, Frankie Kazarian cuts a promo, and we're off to the races. We're ready for Rebellion now. We're all hyped up. We've made our decision whether we're going to click buy or not. And hopefully they've caused us to push the button. We get the national anthem sung by somebody named Ilona, which when I tried to Google them, I'm not sure that it was the same person, but it's the only person that shows up. So I don't know. Whatever. We're kicking things off with Ultimate X. Okay. Here's your participants: Matt Cardona, Casey Navarro, Sidney Akeem, aka Reggie, aka Scripts, Leon Slater, Hijo del Vikingo with 2 kids. He came out with these 2 kids, these 2 small kids that were almost as big as he is. I'm not just saying that because it's a popular thing to make fun of Vikingo for being small. Literally, these kids are almost as big as him. And then, of course, Moose, the X Division champion. AJ Francis is on commentary, or he would be if the mic worked. But either way, he was going to get involved in this pretty quickly, so it didn't really end up mattering, I don't think. I don't think the show was damaged by this audio malfunction, but it wouldn't be a TNA live show if it didn't have audio problems, right? So Moose is scared of heights, as we know. We know this from the ladder match, at the very least, that he had. And because of this, he tries to get around climbing in various ways. One of which was he thought he could reach the belt just by putting a folding chair in the ring and standing on it. Another one was that he tried to have Lish climb out there and get it. But she got scared right at the end and fell. And he caught her. And then he got super kicked while holding her. So yeah. So that was the funny part of the match. Was the little Moose story. But before we talk about the main thing that everybody saw and remembers from this match, any other thoughts on what you saw out there?
I mean, it was, fun opening car crash, X Division style. I thought Leon Slater, it looked like he smashed his face on the mat when he did that flip off the top of the truss. Like even Moose, you can see Moose be looking like, "Oh shit, are you okay?"
Well, yeah, that was the one thing I was setting up for to spend more time on, but yes.
I thought you were talking about the finish.
No, who cares about the finish? The only thing anybody cares about is fucking Leon Slater eating shit on this bump. Well, let's just talk about it. He ate shit on this bump. Oh my God. He did a 450, the Swan 450 off the top of the truss, and 6 guys couldn't break his fall. So, it got out there if Ray is sending it to me, like in a text message, like, hey, look at this. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll let you go first, whatever you have to say about it.
Let's just see. My first thing thought was, well, this might appear on Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Head this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that from that. Yeah, that's not a move you do from something like that. Like that's a in the ring, you hit your finish, it's over. You don't do that to the outside with people standing. It's like that you can't catch somebody like that.
No, you can't. It's science and physics. Like you are you're generating velocity and force by like the way you're flipping, turning, and spinning like that, especially the way he does it.
He basically turned himself into a lead missile.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's gonna want to catch it, even if they could. But I don't know if they could. I mean, it definitely was better. They could have done a better job than they did. But it's not that they weren't there, because I've seen times when like guys would like it looked like they move out the way almost. Like, I don't want to catch this guy, and then the guy goes splat. I've seen that. This didn't look like that. It looked like they were all there and he broke through them all and just hit the floor because I would guess that Leon has control of his body in the air. Like, he seems to be pretty with it. So he must have really had a lot of momentum if he just smacked the thing. Now, I think he probably avoided hitting his head, because if he had hit his head as hard as it looked like, I don't think we would have had the finish of the match. I mean, it would have ended at like for him right there. So he must have like took it all on the arms and upper body and stuff. He might have still got a concussion.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But he may have avoided actually cracking his skull on the ground. So let's be thankful for that. But man, and I also get it that like this is your chance to make a moment. So I understand that you want to do that. But my thing is more for the people that are like, if he's doing that, man, you got to make sure that he does not hit that ground like that. You got to throw yourself in front of him somehow. And it just didn't look like anybody did. So.
Yeah, thankfully it looks like he's okay. Well, I wonder how okay he is today.
Yep. Well, with that being said, it's just one of those things. Nobody can really, I can't cut a harsh promo on any individuals or even the group, because I'm sure they didn't want it to go like it did, but those are the risks. It's called a high risk move for a reason. So I understand it, but yeah. So now as for the finish, for the actual finish, Leon Slater immediately gets up from this literal crash and goes on to, go towards the finish where it actually looks like he's about to win this thing. So he climbs out and he grabs the belt and he takes it down and he drops down to the ring where Moose is waiting and spears him, and the belt falls down and Moose picks it up and is the winner. So Moose's spear is so accurate, he can even hit somebody through a loophole. Because as we all know, it's not who takes the belt off, but it's who ends up with the belt on the mat. So, Moose is your winner here. Did you like this finish?
I like the idea. It's just like a nanosecond too slow on that spear, because Leon's feet did technically kind of hit the mat before he hit the spear.
That's true. It should have, I guess he should have timed it to where Moose just started running and then Leon drops.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing to time though. Like you both guys got to know what the other one's thinking and where their head's at.
Well, if Moose runs first, then Leon can drop at the right time. That's how you'd have to do it if you're going to do it that way.
Yeah, like as soon as you see Moose take off, that's when you let go.
Yep. And Moose could have even jumped to, he could have even jumped to spear him if he wanted to while he was still hanging. So, like, what if that chair was still in the ring set up and he jumped off the chair like Sabu? Yeah, that would have been cool. Anyway, yes. Moose is your X Division champion still. But, as fate would have it, we're not done with Moose. Because we have a Knockouts tag team title 4-way. Of course, this is all Heather by Elegance's fault. let's see. The teams are obviously the Elegance twins, dressed like bunny girls. Um, we have the Meta Girls from NXT. We have Spitfire, and we have the Dark Dollhouse. So we also have the Liaison on commentary, and we have Jeff Tremaine in the crowd. You know Jeff Tremaine. He was the guy that co-created Jackass. No.
Basically like an MTV guy.
Yeah. All right. So so what'd you think of this Fatal 4-Way?
I thought it was all right. I definitely questioned the placement of it. Like we had that multi-man car crash earlier and followed up with another one complete with everybody diving to the outside.
See, I knew you'd get that. That's why I threw it to you. Not only did we have a car crash match right before this, like you said, but the girls still felt the need to take turns diving on each other. We just saw that. So, my advice, if you end up in this spot on the card, because you can't control all the things that happen to you in a wrestling, like when you're, you can't control your placement sometimes, you can't control your bookings, you can't control who goes over. There's a lot of things you can't control, but what you can control when you see this, if you're like, oh shit, we have to follow Ultimate X, what you could do is, and especially with a match like this where you have 8 people and a lot of them are character driven, this is where you let the crowd catch their breath at the start, because you could take your time with the 4-way, tagging everybody in and just letting them do basic simple stuff and get their character over, right? Like each person, you go around the ring, and once all 8 people have sort of been in the ring for a little bit and everybody in the audience has settled down, like they're still being entertained, but they're settling down, right? So once they settle down, you go into your little whatever heat, and then you could start bringing it back up, and then you could, by the time you do the exciting stuff at the end, the people will be ready to see some action again, but what they did was they tried to keep the momentum of the Ultimate X going, and you could hear the crowd was like half-heartedly cheering the dives. It's like, yay, like don't do that, don't work too hard, it's you're wasting it, so these are things that you just, if no one teaches you this, you can't, it's hard to know. But once it's been explained to you and once you've lived it, I bet now that they all went out and had this match, I bet every one of them probably came to this conclusion on their own. They don't even need me to break it down for them. They're probably like, man, we should have done less. That I would hope, but who knows? Maybe not. Ash by Elegance hits the rarefied air on Jody Threat, and they retain. So 2 retentions already here at Rebellion. Looks like nobody's rebelling against the champions.
Yeah, but it looks like Team Elegance is going up to 3 now with Maggie Lee.
Right? Maggie Lee.
Botox, Botox, Botox.
So, now's the part where we're supposed to have the System versus Ace and Rascals. But because JDC's not here and Cody Deaner is not wanted, Moose is pulling double duty. So, again, the consummate professional Moose. We see interesting choice of attire for Ace and Rascals, or it's because Zachary Wentz is competing here. But yeah, it's what was it? What did Matthew Raywalt said? It's either Ass Austin or Mr. Ace, because he's dressed like Billy Gunn. Trey Miguel is dressed like Road Dogg,
or BG James as they refer to him.
right? Yeah, they definitely refer to him as every one of his names he's ever had. They probably called him Rhodey at some point. Um, and yeah, so and then Zachary Wentz was just, you know, he just dressed in green. He actually kind of looked more like X Pac also, who was just there in a tracksuit. Um, and then, you know, toward the end, X Pac got in and beat everybody up. So like he got his shit in, uh, including Lish, who he gave the X Factor to. Um, and then right after that, the Rascals did a dive, and see there, that's again an unnecessary dive because the crowd was never going to get hotter than they did when he hit Lish with the X Factor. So they should have just took it home right there, because no one gives a shit about your dive. We've been watching dives for 45 minutes now. Um, but yeah, Zachary Wentz gets a pin over Moose here. So this is one of the acceptable times that you could pin Moose, because he already had an Ultimate X match right like a few minutes ago, and they hit him with a series of moves right before. So if you're ever going to beat Moose in a non-title capacity, this would probably be the way to do it. I'm still not saying that I would have, but it seems to be that their only booking ideas are have Moose lose to contenders in tag team matches and then go over at the singles match, which is the laziest possible way to do it. But thank you, Labrat. If one person is not lazy, it's Labrat, as he gives us a super sticker of a, looks like a Super Famicom controller with his arm in a sling.
Whoop whoop! Thanks, pal.
All right. So, any thoughts on the match itself?
I liked the match. I thought it was good, but like you said, the finish that came right after the X Factor on Lish, because that's pretty much why he was out there, to neutralize her.
Yeah, I mean the match was pretty much fine except for that, so that's a nitpick.
Plus, of course, he got the triple Bronco Buster spot in.
Oh yes, triple Bronco Buster. Yeah, we definitely was a celebration of X Pac tonight, that night, last night. Now, Burt Macklin is in the zone, and Gia cannot read the room. Not only does she try to get a comment from him, but she sits next to him and like pushes him on the shoulder or something like. But he's in the zone. And that leads us to Eric Young versus Burt Macklin for the international title. The Armory gets ejected from this match. They have their match. I'm not going to lie and say I paid any attention to it. I just saw that the finish was the Wembley 92, or at least they tried, but Eric Young couldn't get his leg, or Macklin couldn't get both of Eric Young's legs. So he grabbed one of them and then oh my God. So Eric Young takes his free leg and like tries to bring it up so that Macklin can grab it, and he just doesn't grab it. These guys are, how long have they been doing this, man? While we're sitting here podcasting. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I don't know about these guys. But don't worry, they get their heat back because they beat the shit out of Macklin. The Armory's like, well, match is over. We can come back now. We can obey the rules now. Some renegades they are, that the referee tells them to leave and they just do, rather than, you know, whatever. So they get their heat back and they hang him with the chain. Were you surprised to see a chain lynching on Rebellion?
I didn't expect to see a chain get involved. I guess it means we're going to see a chain match between the two of them, or a dog collar or something like that.
Oh boy.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it probably is going to be a dog collar because of the whole military background thing with Macklin.
Oh boy. Oh man. Oh no. Can't wait. Hey, Anna Lore of Final Destination Bloodlines is here. Let's all wave to her. Hi, Anna. I wonder, is she really a TNA fan? Or is it something her whack ass publicist told her she had to do?
She sure looked like she was having a great time.
To me, it looked like she was like, oh, there's a camera here. Are you a fan of the Final Destination series?
I saw like the first two, and that was it.
Yeah, I only saw one. Apparently, that was the best one, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen at the time. Okay, we get a package, and then we get Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali. Falls count anywhere. Ali comes out to the Svetlana Tulasi Dance Company, which specializes in traditional Indian dances and Bollywood dances and things like that. So if you didn't know about Ali's Indian roots, you definitely did now.
That's one thing I noticed that TNA has been doing that's very WWE-esque. Like, this seemed like a major pay-per-view entrance that you'd see on a WWE show. Plus, with the constant showing people out in the crowd. And they opened the Rebellion as well as Impact with showing streamers and YouTubers reacting to Joe Hendry coming out at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a WWE thing right there. Well, so that's interesting. We could have a different conversation about whether a heel should have that kind of stuff and bring heat on a real company, but whatever. Who cares anymore? It's all fake, right? So do whatever. Here's something else that's real. Mike Santana fell trying to do a dive, and he had to do the flop dollar thing where he just stood up like, yeah. And then he went on to, and see, this is why I don't have any sympathy for guys like Santana, because, you know, like I wish he could stand up for his business a little bit, but who knows? Maybe he's the one that wants to do the things the way they're doing it, or maybe he's pitching these ideas. I don't know, but he pitched, I don't know if he pitched the idea of the deadly popcorn smash during this match. 2. He hit Ali with a bucket of popcorn and a bag of popcorn. So, you know, don't worry about Leon Slater being concussed. We need to check on Ali. He took 2 popcorns right to the head. I'm surprised they haven't banned popcorn shots to the head. I mean, come on. We got to think about long-term health here, people.
Causes CTE, pal.
Yeah. Anyway, stairs, chairs, tables.
Oh my.
Yep. The good hands or great hands and Tasha all get involved, but in the end, after all that, it's just the spin the block, a discus lariat that wins the match for Santana. Has he finally exorcised his demons?
He got some exercise in.
All right. Did I miss anything? Anything you wanted to comment on, or did you like the popcorn smash?
Honestly, my initial reaction to it was, I bet that dude's probably pissed about all that money he spent on that popcorn got wasted.
Yeah, what's a tub of popcorn now? Like $15?
And there was that spot that Tasha took.
Oh, at the table?
Yeah.
Man. Well, bless her heart.
And Santana protected her.
That was a long way to go for Tasha Steele. She barely did anything. I mean, I guess she's complicit in all this horrible stuff that they've done to him, but
she never really like acted directly.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was a hell of a bump. I mean, in a Falls Count Anywhere match, probably should have done that to your opponent, but I mean, sure, do it to Tasha. Why not? Yep. All right. Who else is in the audience? Barbara Crampton. You know, good old Barbara Crampton from that thing that she's in. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
she was in that movie that came out. She was that chick that was in the movie that came out last year.
Yeah, maybe that. Main event players warm up in the back. And then we see Indy Hartwell in the audience. And I hope it wasn't her popcorn that Santana took. But yeah, Gia is interviewing her, and she lets us know that she has crossed the line. And the crowd is like, yay. And trust me, they're not going to have that good of a reaction once the bell rings. Believe me. Someone who's watched Indy Hartwell's entire NXT career. Maybe even, was she in the Mae Young Classic?
She
If
might
she
have
was, I go that far back. So yeah. Then we get a package, and it's time for Tessa Blanchard versus Masha Slamovich for the Knockouts Championship. Was Indy Hartwell in the Mae Young Classic?
She was not. These are the 2018 one.
There was only 2, right?
Correct. She was in neither.
Oh. Well, shit. Where'd they dig her up? This match was jump started by a Masha Slamovich dive. And this is probably, I don't know. Was this? Would you say that? What'd you think of this match? Was this the match of the night? Would you say?
Sorry, what was the knockout title match?
Tessa and Masha, yeah.
I thought it was a decent match.
Was there a better match?
Can't say that there was.
All right. Match of the night. I did think that Tessa with her facial expressions was a bit much at times.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a tad much. But generally pretty good, and they kind of told a story. Masha got the armbar on, and Tessa tapped out. So I don't know. Was that surprising? Did you think they would put it on Tessa here, or did you think that Masha would retain, but just not like this?
I was thinking that we brought this point on the top belts. I thought was going to change tonight, and it was even more shocking to see Tessa tap, because I thought if they weren't going to keep it, or if they weren't going to flip it, it wouldn't be a tap out.
Yeah. Well, they definitely did it. She definitely tapped out. So, what's next? What is next? Todd thought Tessa was going to take it. Labrat thought Indy was glue. So next we see another couple people in the crowd, the Hard-On Twins. Don't Google that. Just warning you now. Then we get a package. Nice segue. Then it's the Zigglers versus the Hardys for the tag team championships.
Still another segue.
Yes. Yes. Yes, the guy that's named after the guy in Boogie Nights, kind of, and the Hard Boys. So, well, before I say anything, did you have anything to say about this match?
I mean, not really. It wasn't all. It was. I mean, it was what it was.
Well, what it was the Ziggler brothers winning the tag team championships. Um, and that's Dolph Ziggler hitting the danger zone, and then Ryan coming in and stealing the pin. But doesn't matter because they won. So, uh, but here's my thing about this to tie it back to what I said earlier. So, this is just a wrestling match. You know, the Hardys didn't use any magic or anything. They just got beat in a wrestling match. So, what were we promoting?
Right. Yeah. After what we saw on the Impact, like, why didn't any of that get applied to it?
Yeah.
Unless the idea was they're trying to get in the Ziggler's or the Nemeth brothers' heads and play mind games, but they end up getting the last laugh on them.
Yeah, I mean, well, the mind games were pretty elaborate. If they have the powers to cross over dimensions, I don't see why they could lose a wrestling match with normal rules. They should be able to circumvent all reality and warp reality to make it so that they always retain no matter what. Shouldn't one of them be like, shouldn't they turn the referee into Earl Hebner and do a screw job finish? Or like, what? Well, why do we have to play by the rules of a normal wrestling match? These guys are clearly supernatural, so where is it? It only works at their house. Okay, all right, I get it. Silly me. You know. All right. Well, looks like there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. But first, we have to get the Mark panel to come out and predict who's going to win. If you care, everybody picked Joe Hendry except for O'Shea Jackson Jr. He picked. Who did he pick? Ethan Page. So that is your match. It is Frankie Kazarian, the King of TNA, versus All Ego Ethan Page versus the man who we believe in, Joe Hendry. It's a nice little triple threat match if you like that sort of thing. But to be honest, after last week and this past week and everything, I've seen enough of these multi-man matches for a while. At least this one made sense because it was a situation where two guys basically stepped up to challenge at the same time, and one of them had a right to challenge, you know, with Frankie having his call your shot. So he calls his shot and someone steps on it. So at least there's some storyline reason that was some effort. It wasn't just, you know, like say a bunch of women just signing a contract, whether they were in the match or not, or, you know, any of that shit. So yeah. But if you believed in Joe Hendry, you were correct because he's able to overcome not only the other two men, but his own shoulder injury and retain. But as he's celebrating, he's attacked by...
Whoop that Trick.
That's right. Let's talk about it. Trick Williams shows up, hits a trick shot on Joe Hendry. And that's the image that we leave Rebellion with, is Trick standing over Joe Hendry and eyeballing that TNA championship. So now, if you haven't been following along, Joe Hendry has gone to TNA and stepped in front of Trick to challenge Obafemi, and Trick has never had a rematch one-on-one with Obafemi for his NXT championship. And here comes Joe Hendry waltzing in, declaring himself a number one contender. So Trick Williams is somehow being portrayed as a heel in this, but in reality, it's only fair. I mean, he has a right to be frustrated. So, what's going to happen here? Can Trick Williams become the TNA champion?
Ooh.
That's the question as we end Rebellion.
Yeah, what's this about Joe Hendry being in trouble? That's the first I've heard about it.
I don't know. Maybe he's just referencing Maybe he's just referencing the fact that Trick Williams has put a target on his back. I don't think there's been a scandal, or anything, but who knows? I don't keep up with the stuff as closely as some people. So anyway, that was Rebellion. I guess it was an okay show. I mean, I'd rather not. Oh, okay. And Trick. So he's just, yeah, Todd's just keeping it. He's keeping it kayfabe, guys. At least he knows how to keep it at work. But yeah, it was an okay show. We got a double shot of Moose. So I appreciate Moose professionalism, stepping up, working 2 matches. It's cool. But and the ladies put on a good match for the Knockouts title. There's some other matches on there that but you gotta have a card of matches, right? So I get it. What would your overall thoughts on Rebellion be?
I thought it was a decent show. I mean, I had a fun time watching it overall.
Did the people in the watch along seem to enjoy it with you?
That's pretty much the general consensus.
Yeah. Well, I personally have felt that TNA has been pretty lackluster, so they were due for something at least passable. And I guess this was passable, even though it was funny to see all these non-celebrities that are trying to get passed off as celebrities. Even when you watch like Monday Night Raw, and like, you see these people and you're like, who?
Who?
But they seem like megastars compared to whoever TNA gets to roll out. So that is that's funny to me. But other than that, it's fine. So I guess that's all there is to say. Is there anything else to say?
Yeah, I think that covers everything.
Wow. Well, I guess then what we can do is we can let everybody go about their evening or night or late night, depending. And thank you so much for spending it with us. If you want to spend more time with us, we'll tell you where you can find us. Brandon, where can they find you?
As always, you can catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X at LGBrandonWhoop. I'm also on twitch.tv/LGBrandonWhoop. Guaranteed every Wednesday night after the HMG Dynamite watch along, sometimes sporadically throughout the rest of the week. See what we got tomorrow. Tomorrow we got the late start NXT watch along, and then like I mentioned before, the AEW Dynamite watch along on Wednesday. And then we're doing the live TNA Impact watch along. So I believe it's a live show this week. So we're going to be doing that live watch along of that this Thursday. Friday is SmackDown. And then we're going to do a double dose of HMG After Dark on Saturday and Sunday. We're doing Clerks and Mallrats.
I see. Clerks and Mallrats. Yeah, good shit, pal. So if you want to get a hold of me, it's at Opinion Hammer everywhere. Every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Next Level Wrestling Review, Big Ray Hernandez. We'll talk about the TNA and NXT partnership, but from the NXT side. Then, if you want to check out a little AEW action, then you're going to have to tune in every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for Da Wreckage. Shout outs to Mongo one more time there. Mongo up there with Ditka. Oh, wait, is Ditka dead? No, Ditka can never die. Yeah, so
Da Bears.
Yes, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. The Wreckage, me and Jimmy T talk about AEW. Check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers, their concrete time every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Check out Stevie Richards every concrete Friday at whatever time they upload their show on Fridays, but it's always seems to be Friday unless it's not. But check it out anyway. Just go to the channel, subscribe to all these channels and hit that bell, and then you don't have to worry about when they go live. You'll know. They'll tell you with the bell. It'll go ding ding. And then check out Limpin' Ain't Easy with Timmy Baltimore. This is a great guest. Tommy Dreamer is his guest this week. You know, so he's all over the place. He's on panels. He's on Limpin' Ain't Easy with Timmy Baltimore. So definitely check that show out. And I believe that is it for us. So Brandon will be picking up the Raw watch along, I think, as soon as we're done here. If you're joining us live,
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes. So for Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign off line.